What's up, my dude? Space Boy back at it again, bros. Should you buy Supercross 66666? Okay, that's what this video is all about right here. I'm taking you back to the best official Supercross game in this gameplay, okay? We're taking it back to Supercross 3 right here. Alrighty. So, the craziest thing about this video is the fact that I can make this video before I have ever even played Supercross 6. And before I've ever even really seen a whole lot of gameplay on the game. I know that there's some of those bigger motocross YouTube channels out there that have the super early access, early first look gameplay, bro. We're getting paid by Milestone to, never really tell you not to buy one of these games, but you know how that story goes, okay? Spency boy, a little too much truth for Milestone is what it really comes down to, but that's okay, though. But the thing about it is, I can't make any sort of actual gameplay videos on Supercross 6 until the game comes out to the public, which is still like a few weeks away here. So, but I know there's a lot of you boys all excited about Supercross 6 and wondering if it's going to be worth the money or should you buy this one and yada, 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 you know what I'm saying? But, basically, at the end of the day, let's see if I can pop off real quick, okay? Basically, at the end of the day, if you've been, around any of these motocross games for like the past decade, you know what I mean? If you've been even paying halfway attention to what's been going on with these Milestone games, you should already know what Supercross 6 is going to be. There's enough history, there's enough track record, there's enough of these Milestone games that have come out in the past. It really shouldn't even be a question to you. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I mean by I don't really even have to play the game. I don't really even have to see gameplay on Supercross 6. I can already tell you what it's going to be just because of how many Supercross games that have come out before and how many MXGP games that have come out before, okay? It's going to be what you think it's going to be. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what kind of tricks people up a little bit with these Milestone games. Like, the worst thing you can do is start letting your mind drift off into all of these fantasy sort of, imaginations that, oh, maybe this Supercross game will be different, or it'll be something that we weren't really expecting, or it'll have this certain kind of gameplay feature that we weren't really expecting it to have, or it'll be some kind of different sort of game than what the last 5 Supercross games were. Bro, it's not. It's just not. It's gonna be a lot more of the same than it is something different, okay? Like, it just is what it is at this point. They've done it so many times at this point, like, it's not a mystery. It's not a, oh, Spence, do you think Supercross 6 will be the one that saves the day? Or do you think Supercross 6 will be one that they really change what they're doing with something? No, 1,000 times no. It's going to be the same. Whoever needs to hear this truth right now, seems like a lot of those bigger moto YouTubers out there struggle to mention this. I don't know, kind of convenient how they do that, but it's going to be the same shit, guys. It's going to be the, whoa, forgot how big that jump was. It's going to be, the FIFA, Madden, NCAA, very, very micro changes, micro improvements. Basically the same game, but just slightly different for another $60. That's exactly what it's going to be. That's what it always has been. Why would it be any different now? Do you see what I'm saying? And for some people, that's okay. For some people, they'll keep paying the $60. For some people, they buy the new Madden or the new FIFA game every single year. You know, some people just got money growing off of trees, money trees, baby. You know what I mean? But for a lot of other people, money is not that loose. Money's a little more tight right now. And at the end of the day, you know, if you're wanting to get some sort of official Supercross game experience, you would literally just be better going in there and buying. Whoa, Spency Boy, the K-Dub transfers out here. Whoops. You would just be better off going in there and buying Supercross 3. It's got all the kind of graphics you would want. It's got all the kind of gameplay you would want. It's got all the kind of customization and all the different kind of, you know, stock tracks in the game that you could want. It's got all the kind of track editor features you could want. It's got the pop-off system. It's got, you know, probably the most skill gap of any of the different official Supercross games. Like, at the end of the day, unless you're just like a Milestone super fanboy, or you just have to go out there and buy every single new AAA dirt bike game just because, there's really no reason to do it. You'd be better off just going in here and buying Supercross 3. It's going to be a lot cheaper at this point. It's probably like in the $20 or $30 range at this point. Or, you know, go in there and buy something like, I don't know, MX Bikes, you know what I mean? MX Sim, Reflex, you know. That's where a lot of you, I think, get a little bit tricked up with these Milestone games. The thing about it is, just because they're the most popular right now, just because they're the most advertised and they're plastered all over the, you know, actual real life Supercross broadcast and all that kind of stuff, does not mean that these are the best dirt bike games out there. That's not what that means. Just because they have the best graphics and they're the most advertised, and, you know, this is all you ever see nowadays, you know, they're the most popular games, it does not mean they're the best gameplay games. It does not mean they're the best bang for your buck dirt bike games. It does not mean these are the games you should buy over any other dirt bike game. That's not at all what it means. You know, it just means these have the most money put behind them. These have the most, you know, kind of like popularity on YouTube, and these bigger YouTubers cover all these different Milestone games, you know, to a pretty deep extent because they know that it's going to get a lot of views. And even I cover these games because I know they're going to get a lot of views. That's just what it is. They're just popular like that, you know? But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that they're the best games. They're not even close to being the best games. I can promise you right now, you're getting a lot more for your money when you buy like MX Bikes or MX Simulator that are not even $60 to begin with, okay? And they got all that custom track content, real track editors that aren't just based off of module pieces, you know, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, actual physics that, you know, felt like somebody took more than 5 seconds to develop it, you know, all those kind of things. That's what Reflex, MX Bikes, MX Simulator, it basically goes like this right here, okay? Reflex is the GOAT arcade dirt bike game. MX Simulator is the GOAT simulator dirt bike game. And MX Bikes is the GOAT hybrid in between those two different games. That's exactly what it is. So whatever kind of gameplay you're looking for, like if you're just looking for that arcadey experience, Reflex is still the GOAT. If you're looking for that full-blown, super difficult simulator that takes you forever to learn and tons of skill gap and separation and all those kind of things, like super realistic whoop difficulty and hard to even get around a track, you know, like a real dirt bike, MX Simulator is still the GOAT on that. It is what it is, man. But if you're looking for something kind of in between those two things, a little bit easier to get into, a little bit easier to hold the bike up, just a little bit easier in general, but it has more of that skill gap and depth than like a Reflex kind of game, then MX Bikes is going to be your game. It's still the GOAT of that. So The Milestone games are basically the goats of graphics. It's the goat of graphics in dirt bike games. But that's it. That's the only thing that you can say is better about these Milestone games than any other dirt bike game is the graphics. So if that's what means the most to you, then by golly, go get you some of it, big dog. But for me personally, the graphics is the last thing on my list. I mean, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it adds to the game and all that fun shit. But, like, at the end of the day, graphics for me is not what keeps me playing a dirt bike game for endless amounts of time and all that kind of stuff. But to get back on track in this video here a little bit, Supercross 6, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some things about it that are better about Supercross 5. I'm sure there's going to be some things about it that are worse than Supercross 5. But, like, at the end of the day, it's not going to blow your socks off. Like, they're not just going to magically be able to do something totally different than what they've done for the past 5 Supercross games. It's just not going to happen, bro. So if you're one of those kind of guys that you've been kind of getting tired of the Supercross games and the repetitiveness and it's just not worth the money for the amount of changes they make to it, you know, you're just kind of getting burnt out and tired of all that, Supercross 6 is not going to swoop in and save the day. You know what I mean? That's the moral of the story at the end of the day. So if you're one of those kind of guys, you probably shouldn't buy Supercross 6. At the end of the day, definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it, but it really shouldn't be any surprise to you. It really shouldn't be any... I mean, you should know about what Supercross 6 is going to be like. Yeah, you may be questioning in your head, is it going to be more like Supercross 3, or is it going to be more like when they started going down the different weird road with Supercross 4 and 5? I can't really answer that particular thing about it, but like, still at the end of the day, I mean, you can just about figure out, basically in a nutshell, what it's going to be. It's going to be minimal, you know, track editor improvements. It's going to be minimal improvements all the way across the board. You know, it's just a different kind of game than, like, the MX vs. ATV games or anything that you've ever gotten used to with these dirt bike games. It's just a totally different kind of... you know, marketing and, like, sort of what they're trying to do with trying to how they're making money with it. It's just a whole different kind of thing. It's a whole different kind of business model than any other kind of dirt bike games that we've ever seen before. It's an entirely different thing. So the quicker that you can wake up to that and realize that, the better off you're going to be. But I mean, I'm sure the game will feel a little bit, you know, better as far as content just because the last 2 Supercross games have been, they've had it where it's been like multiple rounds in the same stadiums because of all the stuff that happened with real life Supercross. So I'm sure Supercross 6 will come out and feel like it's got a little bit more track content just because it's going to be going to all the different stadiums again, you know, that kind of thing. But, for me personally, I don't know. I feel like when it's the previous year, you know, it's based off of everything of the year before, it just doesn't give the same kind of excitement level. You feel like you're playing through last year's championship or something. And it's just bizarre because you'll have shit like, you know, Ken Roczen will still be on HRC Honda. You know, he won't be on that Suzuki. It'll be like just weird stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of throws off the game a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's going to be about what you've been seeing. You know, the differences from Supercross 4 to 5. It's going to be something similar to that. So at the end of the day, if these Supercross games haven't really been doing it for you for the past couple years, Supercross 6 is not going to be that game. It's just not. It's just not. Like, I don't know how much more direct, truthful I can be about this, but some of these other YouTubers live in a neutral boy fantasy land where they're just not really going to say you shouldn't buy any of the Milestone games. You should buy all of them and support dirt bike games. And when you get into that kind of thing with some of these other YouTubers, you can't really trust what they're saying at the end of the day, because they don't really have some of them that you shouldn't buy, some of them that you should buy. It's just, I don't know, man. It's definitely created this weird sort of opinions on these games, but at the end of the day, Supercross 3 was the pinnacle. I don't know if they're going to try to work themselves back into that, but it seems to be the same sort of content, like just one free ride compound. Yeah, it's got the Jeremy McGrath thing on it, but I mean, I don't know. Even when I looked at their website, like, it's just not, there's not going to be some crazy new feature that's going to blow your socks off. There's not going to be something crazy to the physics. They just have never done that before. Like, if you're going to see any change in these games, it's going to be a slow, steady, over 2 or 3 years. That's the only way you're going to see, like, an actual change. Like, if you haven't bought one of these Supercross games since, like, the first or second one, then, yeah, Supercross 6 might feel a little bit different. But if you've been buying every single one back to back to back, it's just going to feel like a slightly different Supercross 5. It could be better, it could be worse, but it's not going to be drastically different. And that's all it comes down to at the end of the day. So either way, I just had to point out some of those things, remind everybody, you're dealing with Milestone. They've got enough history, they've got enough track record, they've done enough games for you to know what's going on here. Doesn't take a rocket scientist, doesn't take a Spency Boy, Space Boy, rocket scientist to figure this shit out, Anybody can figure out what Supercross 6 is pretty much going to be at the end of the day without ever even playing the game or ever even seeing any gameplay on it. Like, that's literally to the point where we're at here, okay? That's it. That's all there is to it, dog. So either way, be sure and go follow me up, add me up on all my different social medias. It's just Spencer Turley, no spaces and no capital letters. That's the same way with my Steam and Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, all that kind of stuff. It's just Spencer Turley, no spaces and no capital letters. Go add me up. If you want to get in the Discord, all you got to do is DM me on Instagram. Let me know you want to get in there, and I'll get you in there. But yeah. Spency Boy been saying all this since the very first Supercross game. I've caught on to Milestone's sort of business practices ever since the very beginning. It's taken some of you other boys a little bit longer to kind of realize what's going on, but yeah. Oh, look at the transfer, bro. Whoa, there you go, Spency Boy. At the end of the day, these are more like $30 games that are jacked up to being $60 games. That's what it is. If these were $30 games, I wouldn't really have any problem with them. But they're making the kind of changes and the kind of differences and the new features that you would add to a game that would be half of the price of a normal AAA dirt bike game. And they don't really update them very much. They're very, very minimalistic updates after the game comes out. They might go in there and make 1 or 2 different updates that actually change something in the game. But for the most part, you get what you get. It's not like MX vs. ATV with Legends where they're updating it like, what seems like every other week. That's just not how the Milestone games are. That's just not how they are. They just blow through so many of them. They don't have any time to focus on any one of them individually. And so then you're just getting that like constant new game, minimal features. They run out of shit to add to the games and fix and change. And so that's just what it is, man. That's what it is. That's what it's always been. That's what it's always gonna be. You know what I'm saying, bro?